Many of you may remember in February 1979 there was a big uproar because someone by the name of James Gutman applied for a permit to lead a march of Nazis through downtown Philadelphia. Now eventually some enterprising reporters did an investigation. You know what they turned up? James Gutman was none other than Mordecai Levy, who worked with the Anti-Defamation League and later split off that to form the terrorist Jewish Defense League. This was an operation that was run by the ADL. They wanted to have a Nazi march in Philadelphia. Why? Because how can they raise money to justify their existence if American Jews don't think there's a lot of anti-Semitism? So what better thing to do than to slap swastikas on a couple of people, lead them on a march through town, and then the next day the ADL comes marching in and says, look, there are Nazis on the streets, you need to give us money so we can protect you. And then on top of that, have a tax-exempt status. This was not a one-time operation. A similar thing happened in Trenton, New Jersey. A man named James Rosenberg, also on the payroll of the fact-finding division of the Anti-Defamation League, under the name Jimmy Mitchell, he worked to convince a small group of people who called themselves Klansmen. He convinced them to go into Trenton and blow up the New Jersey headquarters of the NAACP. And this was also exposed. There's a long history of this.
Towns in the Chicago area. Skokie's 70,000 middle-income people have attracted a lot of business, but Skokie has also attracted a neo-Nazi group and a lot of controversy. The National Socialist Party headquarters are on the other side of town, far away from Skokie, but the distance hasn't eased the tension. Party members have made Skokie a target. They want to hold demonstrations there and pass out some of their abundant anti-Jew, anti-black literature. Skokie officials have blocked Nazi demonstrations with court injunctions. When the Nazis appealed to the state Supreme Court, the judges refused to hear the case. But the group has gotten a favorable ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court, which says it's a violation of the First Amendment to refuse a hearing for any group. Party leader Frank Collin says he's so pleased with the High Court's reversal of the injunction, he's inviting Nazis from all over the United States to hold a demonstration at Skokie on the 4th of July. Another reason for the Skokie demonstration could be the makeup of the city's population. Out of 70,000 people, more than 40,000 are Jewish.
I want to talk about this character named Frank Collin, and I want to give my listeners a little history on this guy. And I believe this to be one of Judaism's biggest hoaxes. You know, we got no Holocaust, no Jews were ever mentioned, or maybe they just forgot to talk about the gas chambers as well. It wasn't until Frank Collin came about, and this was in the mid to late 1970s. In fact, he was even portrayed in the Blues Brothers from the early 80s. So if people go back and look at that, they have the Nazis, you know, the crazy little Nazis with their small little faction. Well, this is Frank Collin and his group. It was a small little faction of Nazis. And, you know, this is when the Holocaust fuse was truly lit as far as I can see it. In April of 1977, Collins, he demanded to march through downtown Skokie, Illinois. Now, this area is the largest of supposed Holocaust survivors in the U.S., and his stance at the time was Hitler was a disappointment because he only killed 6 million Jews and let a few get away, okay? And the Jewish population, of course, they all got together, they mobilized, and they were heard shouting, "Never again," which we hear all the time now. Now, in June of 1977, the Skokie, Illinois Jews got an injunction to prevent the march that Frank Collin wanted. Now, Collins went to the ACLU, and with their Jewish lawyer, David Goldenberger was his name, they had the injunction overturned. And for over a year, the battle went on. And it was nightly news worldwide, not only in America. Every fucking night, I remember hearing this as a child. From April 77 till June of 78. You had ABC, CBS, and NBC. Of course, they bombarded the U.S. public nightly. You know, of course, Jews, they're all crying and weeping, and the Nazis were goose-stepping throughout Chicago and Skokie, and these endless legal battles fought by the Jewish ACLU lawyers defending the Nazis and the right of freedom of speech is what this was posed under. Now, Holocaust survivors tell their children why they have no aunts, uncles, or grandparents at this time as well. This is when the Holocaust story really started getting, you know, its push and its pull going through. Now, Colin, he finally got his marching orders, and he got permission in a Chicago park. And in June of 1978, just a few years before the Blues Brothers came out, of course, which, again, they put this in their film. They made it poignant in there. And, you know, this took like 15 months of legal battles for this shit. You know, Colin, he got the Skokie Jews, you know, he got them, and he got permission to do their march, and a total of 12 Nazis showed up. And, of course, they battled with a couple 60, 70-year-old Holocaust survivors who beat the shit out of the whole pack of Nazis. And, you know, after the Skokie episode, you know, Das Führer, fucking asshole, he took off. He vanished. Nothing was ever heard of him in the public eye again. And you know what? It was discovered he was a Jew himself. His real name is Joseph Cohen. He was born, according to his father, born on November 2nd, 1944, and he was born in Chicago, but he was conceived in February 1943 in Dachau concentration camp. You know, again, this is according to his father. Now, Dachau was liberated in April 1945, so obviously his father must have escaped with his mother, because there's no way he could have been conceived in Chicago in November 2nd of 44. So in in 1979, this guy is caught with young boys. Now, Colin and his SS brigade of a total of 4, they completely let the spotlight until police are called on his headquarters. And the police, of course, they're afraid of a big gun battle, so they're not prepared for, you know, what they come across. Now, Colin, they bust into his home, and here they find Colin on his knees with a couple 10-year-old Hitler youths that he had, standing with their lederhosen down to their ankles, and of course, you know, he's sentenced to 7 years in prison for being a pedophile.
The FBI and the Anti-Defamation League both say there's been an alarming rise in anti-Semitic incidents in Florida and nationwide. Members of Orlando's faith community say that's why the city needs a museum like this.
Said this really is important in order to face all bigotry, to face this one form of bigotry, and be able to somehow mitigate it and learn to love our neighbor.
Now, if all goes according to plan, they're set to break ground on the museum in 2024 and open its doors in 2026. Live in downtown Orlando, Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
Are you going to pressure Prime Minister Netanyahu, with whom you have a very good relationship, to end the war in Gaza?
Yeah, sure.
And have you already started that process?
I want him to end it, but you got to have a victory. People forget about October 7th. That was as violent. And you know what's happening? I noticed that a lot of people are saying, oh, it never really happened. That's like the Holocaust. You know, you have Holocaust deniers. Now you have October 7th deniers, and it just happened. No, October 7th happened. And I've seen the pictures. What happened is horrible.
Over 2,500 survivors of the Holocaust living in Israel were directly impacted by the horrors of October 7th. Many were forced to flee their homes. They cannot believe it happened. Some even lost their lives. Actually, many lost their lives. One of them was Moshe Ridler. Moshe was escaped from a concentration camp at the age of 11, only to die at the hands of the same vile hate 8 decades later. Can you imagine? Those who perished on October 7th will not have died in vain. They cannot have died in vain. You cannot let that happen.
Riddle me this before you go. I am loud and obnoxious. I like music that rhymes. I'm a fraction of the population, but commit half the crimes. Who am I?
No, you're a shitty human being.
The niggers!
You are a bad person.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. History is written by the dreamers, not the doubters.
¿Cómo está?
Ahí vale, bien, gracias a Dios, pues tenemos vida y salud.
¿Qué iba a comprar a la tienda?
Agua, unos jugos para mis hijos.
Una
de
vez.
niña.
¿Y tiene más hijos, dice?
Sí, tengo 3 más.
11 meses tiene su hijo?
Una vez.
Say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please, don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. Then the city doesn't have money. It's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately.
We will remove the jihadist sympathizers and Jew haters. We're going to remove the Jew haters who do nothing to help our country. They only want to destroy our country. And we will never let the horrors of October 7th be repeated here on American soil. We will not let that happen. You have to finish what you began, and you have to finish it quickly. So here is my commitment to you on the solemn date. I will not allow the Jewish state to be threatened with destruction. I will not allow another Holocaust of the Jewish people. I will not allow a jihad to be waged on America or our allies. And I will support Israel's right to win its war on terror, and it has to win it fast. No matter what happens, it has to go fast.
Anti-Semitic attack is an assault on all of us. It's an assault on humanity. It will require all of us working together to extract the hateful poison of anti-Semitism from our world. This was an anti-Semitic attack at its worst. The scourge of anti-Semitism cannot be ignored, cannot be tolerated, and it cannot be allowed to continue. We can't allow it to continue. It must be confronted and condemned everywhere it rears its very ugly head. We must stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters to defeat anti-Semitism and vanquish the forces of hate. That's what it is. Through the centuries, the Jews have endured terrible persecution, and you know that. We've all read it. We've studied it. They've gone through a lot. And those seeking their destruction, we will seek their destruction. And when you have crimes like this, whether it's this one or another one on another group, we have to bring back the death penalty. They have to pay the ultimate price. They have to pay the ultimate price. They can't do this. They can't do this to our country. We must draw a line in the sand and say very strongly, never again.
We're trying to save our planet here.
Let's take the Earthlings to a Heckma bar.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you Earthlings want to try a little black? Oh, yeah! Oh, Gluck, yeah!
Kenny!
Man, screw this place. Let's go get a hotel room and a hooker.
Oh, yeah!
Fuck that!
Right?
Oh, that's it, baby. You're getting my jag on hard. Oh. Yeah, let's party.
Oh. Yeah, suck my jag on.
Yeah, now you suck on my jag on. Oh, yeah! Stick your finger in my thresher. Oh, yeah, suck it. Suck that jag on.
Dude, I have no idea what we're seeing right now, but I have a feeling it's really, really wrong.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah, yeah! Oh, God, my head. What did we do? Man, I can't believe I sucked your jag on.
Oh, God, we did suck each other's jag-ons. You kids won't tell anybody about this, right? Yeah.
That's some good stuff right there. Some good stuff.